Surrounded, I'm not used to seeing.
I know, I went straight to sit down there and realised.
Two is 6 hours.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock, so if I could welcome you to the meeting of the Cabinet. First item on the agenda is evacuation procedure. Fire drill is not expected this evening, so if the alarm sounds, please evacuate the building quickly and calmly. Please use the stairs and do not use the lifts. Once outside the building, please gather outside the Yorkshire Bank on the opposite side of the road. Exit by the door which you entered the room, which is indicated by the green fire exit sign. If you need any assistance, please make yourself known to a member of staff, and please make sure your mobile phone is turned off or set to silence. And I would advise you that the meeting will be recorded for future broadcast. Second item, apologies, but we are all here, so there are no apologies. Declarations of interest are written here. Are there any that are not written in the agenda? No. Thank you. Item 4 then, is it agreed to confirm the minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 27th of September?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Public consultation, item 5.
Councillor Condon.
Councillor Kondaka wishes to speak on items 6 and 10. There's no other. No?
No.
Thank you. Right then, item 6, report of the Director Housing and Communities, page 12. Councillor Pomfret.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm dealing with this as community safety as part of the Central Services portfolio. I've got no hesitation in recommending adoption by the Council to guide activity in relation to unauthorised encampments. This protocol is derived by the Police and Crime Commission and is based on good practice largely, so to a large extent what goes on in the borough already. Unauthorised encampments are an issue to residents when they affect the local park or open area, children's play area or school even, and the locality in general. Then there is the cost of clearing the site afterwards and of enhancing security of vulnerable areas. This is a particular issue for Nuneaton and Bedworth, where we have many green areas in a largely urban environment. Many residents will be unaware of encampments unless one arrives near their home or they pass one. But the fact is that encampments take resources, including staff time, away from other duties and has an impact on everyone. I'll take this opportunity to pay tribute to our team here in Nuneaton and Bedworth, who spring into action and are the best in getting encampments closed down. The protocol effectively mirrors the existing arrangements and leaving the responsibility with each landowner, because it's not necessarily always borough land where encampments arrive. It also suggests some standards, for example, a visit within 1 working day, which the borough already meets. Where the encampment is on private land, the Borough Council will take the lead in informing the landowner of their responsibilities and actions they can take, but we do this already. The protocol also includes a debrief after each encampment, which is likely to be relatively straightforward for the majority of encampments. There is also a code of conduct for occupiers of encampments, should they be tolerated. toleration is rare on borough land due to its nature. Finally, Chair, to conclude, the protocol will not reduce the council's ability to act and will lead to more consistent working between councils and the police. This should assist with the residents being confident that the public authorities are taking the appropriate action. However, I need to emphasise this, the long-term solution lies in central government legislation more in line with residents' needs and the provision of other accommodation for those who perpetrate unauthorised encampments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Conduct.
Thank you very much, Chair. The encampments are a problem most summers, and it's very good having a protocol, but we also need things to be done in terms of the actions. Protocols can be stuck on shelves. What we need is varied as well. We have a lot of travellers pass through the Nuneaton and Bedworth who we don't even notice. We have some that stop for a day or so and clean up after themselves, and we have some that make a total mess of the place. And one important thing is that we get a police response when there is an issue. I mean, we had a lot of issues on the south end of Horston Grange when the 101 service was used by residents. Maybe they should have used the 999 service because there was actually things going on at the time and the response was rather poor. We also have the issue of the, particularly on the one at Horston Grange, of the travellers having lots of dogs running wild across an area that's a footpath and things. And then after that, as they left, the travellers attacked the sports pavilion there and made a massive mess. I mean, one thing I am really angry about is the lack of data sharing, because we do need, when travellers come and go, to actually almost like have a trip advisor for the travellers. So we know when they arrive where they come from, how responsible or irresponsible they are, and also what activities they're taking part in. We had travellers in St Nicholas Ward who were doing a lot of commercial activity. They were jet washing roofs and all this stuff with drives, and they were pretending to be local companies. They put flyers around with 024 phone numbers, which apparently you can just buy and then redirect to mobile lines. So we do need to actually sort out the information sharing with councils across the region so that when the travellers do come, we know what they've done before, whether they are a real nuisance or just an inconvenience, and we also can pass this information on to where these travellers go so that the next council knows what sort of activities these travellers have been up to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions to Councillor Kondaka? No? Thank you very much. Well, I just would like to reiterate what Councillor Pomfret said in terms of our own officers. When the Police Commissioner actually had a meeting here involving all local districts, the County Council, Coventry were here too. It was Nuneaton and Bedworth's example that they were looking at, and in particular taking advice from Philip Richardson, and that's very pleasing that people were looking at our advice. Our point has been all along that the law should be strengthened, that the police have a major role to play, and that the Borough Council acts as quickly as it possibly can in the circumstances on land to which we have the right to deal with. We don't have the same rights on private land. In recent cases, certainly in Hill Ward, there has been police action very quickly, which meant that a second school closure was shorter than it had been at the first occasion. But unfortunately, they then moved to another part of the borough on our land, which gave us further problems. And it's this sort of thing where we need the law strengthening and police action to be taken. So the protocol is very welcome, but it certainly isn't the end of the road. And that will only come when we get stronger legislation to deal with this matter. Any other member? We all agreed then to accept the report and pass on our thanks as suggested to our own officers who've dealt with these matters very quickly. There are no recommendations from over the scrutiny panels. There are no other items.
It's just the issue of the case book.
Yes, but I understand that Councillor Kondaka wishes to speak about item 10. He understands he can't speak about anything that's in the report because the report is an exempt item, but he can only actually speak about the title that is printed on page 4. He's entitled to do that apparently, but he can't speak about anything that is mentioned in this report later. So I'm deferring item 9 to after item, well, not till after item 10, because otherwise I would have to turn people out and ask them to come back again. I don't intend doing that, but we'll allow Councillor Kondaka to speak about the title. But I would say, Councillor Kondaka, you are to speak about what's on this agenda.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I only wanted to speak about the generality of Camp Hill going forward and not about the details. One of the things that has been happening in the last part of the planning act that's already got permission recently is the loss of affordable housing because of viability issues. We know Camp Hill has been a long process and it is really important that it does get finished. So there is always a need to support it moving forward, but we do need the affordable housing and things like that. And the last phase that had planning, which is sub-phases 6 and 4, which is down by the Whitterford Park, has got no affordable housing. And I do hope in taking Camp Hill forward and finishing it off, that we don't actually just displace with this compulsory purchase order all the people in housing and not provide affordable housing on what gets built instead. It is really important, and I understand the issues we have. You know, Galley Common has got large amounts, well over 600 houses approved there on a far easier to develop site, and it will suck viable market housing down. We have an issue in this borough that it's not that popular a borough to live in terms of employment. We haven't got the jobs. We need 400 houses a year max, maybe 300. And so we do need to bear in mind what we're doing generally, what we're doing with the borough plan, and how this fits in the system. I say affordable housing is important, and there are issues with this that I can't obviously discuss because I can't talk about the detail. But I will be keeping an eye on this, and I'm really keen that we don't give developers an easy ride and let them off affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kondaka, but I would add that this agenda item is not about affordable housing, as you know. Neither is it about the borough plan. So you have actually spoken about something which this committee does not deal with. The planning committee. This is not the planning committee, and item 10 is not about the subjects you have just mentioned. Thank you very much. Come back then to item 9, exclusion of the press and public regarding this item, and it is because of legal matters. Is that agreed? Thank you very much. Thank you, people, for their attendance.